Wow. It's quite a pleasure to see you just shredding on that guitar.
Hey, good. It's you know what? There's so much travel and messing around when you tour that when you get to play, it's kind of like, yeah, this is why I'm here. That's right. The other stuff was supposed to be background, and here you are, finally playing.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, I think you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, my friend.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you. This is your second trip to Petersburg.
It is. Yeah, I was here about 5 years ago.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
It's great to be back. And by the way, everybody doesn't know this, but Orrin bailed me out yesterday at the airport. So thank you for making me your charity case for this week.
Oh, it's a pleasure. That island hospitality. We take pride in it.
Well, I appreciated it very much. Thanks.
Well, we appreciate you showing up, bring in some skill and instruction even. How'd that workshop go yesterday?
It went well. These are, it's a lot to ask for people to come out and take time from their schedules and miss the debate, and sit down there and take instruction for a couple hours from somebody they may not have never met or maybe have barely heard. They did great. They hung in there, and they I overwhelmed them with information because I won't see them for a long time. I didn't give them just a little bit. I kind of gave them the 3-year overview of what there is to learn when you begin to learn how to play fingerstyle, which is basically, as a solo player, you're trying to be the band.
Right.
You're trying to play all the parts, bass, melody, inner voices.
Okay.
With one guitar.
So you'd say that's kind of an essence to fingerstyle?
It is. And it doesn't really, that's not a repertoire thing, because you can choose your repertoire, but anytime you have a desire to play something that's full and complete, whatever it is, Irish music or your own piece, or somebody else's, or what was originally a vocal tune, a Beatle tune, or whatever, you've got to play all the parts, bass, melody, and you've got to contain the essence of that piece on the guitar, and that's what fingerstyle is teaching your right hand to do that. So you hear the bass, you hear melody, you hear other stuff coming out too.
That's great. Well, gosh. Let's hear some more.
Alrighty. Well, since I mentioned Beatle tunes, and I used them a little bit last night, that was an original piece I did, and it's nice to start out with a bang, a fast piece. But this is I'm going to do a medley of a couple of things that people may have heard before, and that way they can kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about with music they're familiar with. There's a little bit of Donovan here, and then a little bit of a Beatle tune.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, boy. That's an amazing demonstration of how interwoven it can be. I mean, it sounds like a whole stage full of players.
Well, that's what sucked me in the first place when I first heard the style was that sense that there's got to be more than one player up there. You know? And then when you hear it, maybe you're not quite as clear on that, but when you see it,
Yeah.
you know, that's what got me. Was I'm sure I'd heard it before, but when I saw somebody kind of from me to you that was playing like this, go, holy cow. You know, I mean, there's a bass. You know, and there's a melody, you know, and then you got inner harmonies when you do. And that's the bass line that Paul would play, you know, if he's playing the bass, and that's a melody that somebody would sing, and then there's a rhythm in there that John would play on guitar. And that's what you're trying to do, plus you're keeping the beat, you know, telling people what the beat is. So that's what I mean by being the band, is you're trying to contain all the important elements of a tune without having to sing on top of it.
Yeah. Gosh, well, it's an amazing thing to see. I really do encourage anybody who's out there listening who loves guitar music to head on down to the Sons of Norway tonight, because it's going to be a beautiful show. We've definitely got time for more.
Alrighty, I'll do, you know, I'm trying to cover, you know, when you don't play a lot, you want to try to give people a different picture of the different parts of your repertoire. And the only part I'm going to have to leave out today is 12 string, because I didn't want to, it's not enough time in studio to bring both guitars in, but that's in the mix too, and they'll hear that tonight. But I thought I'd do a little Celtic music, because that's another part of my repertoire here.
Fantastic. Wow. Chris Proctor, ladies and gentlemen, good golly, thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's fun to, nobody who's home listening knows, but we got the waveforms for what I'm doing are being displayed on a computer screen in front of me. And when I use that magnetic device that they may have heard and wonder what it was that has that real sustained sound, the waveform has no attack. It's just this long sloping thing as opposed to the normal. When anytime you hit a note, there's an attack, and you see this big mess on the scope. But when you do this, it just gets louder, and there's no attack associated with it.
It's so true.
The display screen. I don't always see that visually. It was kind of fun to see
I'm sure it was, yeah.
I guess that's an inside little appreciation. But anyway, if you're at home and you wonder what that is, you got to come out and see it tonight. I'm not telling you.
Yeah, you'll never know.
That's right.
What magic does he do that evokes the rolling green Irish hills? You have to come down to the Sons of Norway to find out.
That's right.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna throw it back to Pia in Studio 1.
Thank you for making room for me. I appreciate it. And Pia, thank you also.
Yes, indeed. Our pleasure.